What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today, I'm a little bit excited. Now, I've been showing you new Keyforge cards for a little while now. New Keyforge cards excite me. You know I'm a man that gets excited about new Keyforge cards. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we've got some anomalies to talk about. We saw one anomaly a little while ago. We saw the Grim Reaper. And that was revealed and shown to us when we were shown Worlds Collide for the first time. Since then, nothing. Nada. Well, the great news is we now have 3 more anomalies that have been revealed from these target leaks. So let's have a go, shall we? Now, one thing to remember, and we might as well start off with... there's so many good ones. Which one do we want to start with? Let's start off with Ghost Form. I like Ghost Form. Ghost Form can be broken. And a huge, gigantic shout out to the lovely Devin Sparrow, who literally posted a clearer image on the Facebook group and tagged me in it, just in case I wanted to feature it in a video. Of course I do, Devin. Of course I do. A quick reminder that these are not house specific. So this Ghost Form happens to be a Grand Star Alliance card. Ghost Form could turn up in any of the houses. There we go. Now, it is an upgrade, the only non-creature we've actually seen as an anomaly yet. It gives you an amber bonus, and it has a new keyword. This creature gains invulnerable. It cannot be destroyed or dealt damage. Oh, well, that's a bit good. Now, the creature also gains Fight or Reap Archive Ghost Form. Honestly, to deal with that second bit first, I think if you're archiving Ghost Form, you're doing it so you can attach it to a better creature next turn. I don't think you put this on Ghost Form to protect you for a turn and then archive it, and you can do that. But I think this works best when you put it on particular creatures, and I'm going to give you 3 examples which I think highlight how redonk this could be. Obviously, we don't know if these creatures are going to be in the set or not. There's a strong argument they won't be because they'll be too broken, but do remember that legacy cards exist, and any card from previous sets can be featured in any set. Remember also that these anomalies, I think, are going to be like 1% of decks or fewer. Legacies are also very rare, so getting a legacy of this particular type with a Ghost Form, it's technically possible, or at least it should be, but it's going to be nigh on impossible. There we go. Duskwitch. Duskwitch was my first reaction to this. Duskwitch says that all of your creatures come into play ready. Now, the problem with Duskwitch is it is an Omega card, so you can't actually put Ghost Form on it till the next turn, so your opponent does have a turn to take out Duskwitch. If they don't take out Duskwitch, then you get a Ghost Form on and it's basically over. All your creatures are coming down ready for the rest of the game. Puts your opponent on a 1-turn clock. But not all of them do. I know I'm not the only one to point this out, but Restringuntis, which has incidentally been in both the sets so far. It is a 1-power creature without elusive. It is hilariously weak, but do remember the wording on Ghost Form. This creature cannot be destroyed or dealt damage. It doesn't say action card. It doesn't say battle. It just makes the creature invulnerable. Let's be clear about this. So it just can't be destroyed. Now, the thing about Restringuntis is when you drop Restringuntis, your opponent cannot choose a particular house as their active house until Restringuntis leaves play. Now, what happens if Restringuntis is in play turn after turn? The problem is, it's not just that your opponent can't play some of their cards. It's that, let's say you lock them out of Shadows. Well, they might have 1 Shadows card in hand, which means they've got 1 unplayable card. But then they play a bunch of cards, and then they draw some cards, and now they've got 3 Shadows cards. And eventually, they end up with a hand of Shadows locked out the game. If you can keep Restringuntis in play, your opponent will eventually end up with an unplayable hand, and you will guarantee to win the game. If you get Ghost Form onto Restringuntis, the game is essentially over unless your opponent can win before their hand is clogged up from the barred house. The other phenomenal example, I think, for this is Ember Imp. Now, Ember Imp was only in Call of the Archons. It wasn't actually in Age of Ascension. But Ember Imp sits there as a 2-power creature without elusive, but it bars your opponent playing more than 2 cards each turn. Well, that's going to be pretty gosh darn disruptive. But of course, what do? You go after the Ember Imp. Well, you can't go after the Ember Imp if the Ember Imp has this on. Now, to be fair, there are a few ways to do it. You could play something like Lights Out, for instance. Lights Out doesn't destroy or damage a creature. It puts the creature back to the owner's hand. And remember that when a creature is returned to your opponent's hand, the upgrade is discarded. The upgrade does not go with it. So something like, I'm not saying it has to be Lights Out. We don't know if that's in the set, but something like that. The other thing, of course, we can play is something like Destroy Them All. Now, look, I know that Destroy Them All is a Mars card, and I know that Mars isn't in the set. I understand that. It's just an example. Destroy an artifact, a creature, and an upgrade. You need to have something that returns a creature to your opponent's hand, or something that gets rid of the upgrade, because you cannot battle the creature, and you cannot destroy it with action cards. If you get Ghost Form of a bunch of random creatures, it's going to be a good card. But if you can get it with something like Restring Gunter, something like Ember Imp, oh my goodness, it's going to be broken. And it doesn't have to be something over-the-top broken like that. Something like Mother, so every turn you draw an extra card. Something like Hunting Witch, which gives you an amber every time you play a creature, but now your opponent can't get rid of it. Ghost Form is phenomenal. And we love it. Or at least we gosh darned well should. But we have other anomalies that have been revealed. Though I feel like I could do like 10 minutes on each of them. But we're not going to. I've got a brand new niece I need to go and see. So we're putting them all in one video, gosh darn it. Lateral Shift. Now this was popped onto the Facebook group by the lovely Ludovic Oban. Not the first time he's helped us out on this channel. And Lateral Shift is an action card that reads, play. Look at your opponent's hand. Play a card from that hand as if it were yours. Oh, well, that's pretty gosh darn good, ladies and gentlemen. And here's the thing, remember how Keyforge works. At the end of your opponent's turn, they will draw until they have 6 cards in hand. So it's not like other games like Pokemon, for instance, where you can keep a 1-card hand to stop your opponent doing it. No. You are gonna draw until you got 6 cards in hand at the end of your turn. Which means that if you drop a Lateral Shift, you are going to be able to take advantage. And of course, there's nothing to stop you. There seems to be no restriction here. So if you had an Nepenthe Seed, you could play Lateral Shift and then use Nepenthe Seed to use it again. If you play Mimicry when your opponent has a Lateral Shift in their discard pile, you will be able to copy it. That's kind of amazing. Now, quick correction here. I did say that Ghost Form was the first non-creature anomaly we'd seen. I meant the first upgrade anomaly. Clearly an action is not a creature. My apologies, I am a very silly boy. Sorry about that. But let's be clear, right? This card is flat out brilliantly amazing. This is an absolutely phenomenal card. Yes, fine. There will be plenty of times where your opponent doesn't have a card you really want. Never mind, ladies and gentlemen, never mind. But I absolutely adore Lateral Shift. And of course, what happens when you play a card? It's gone from your opponent's hand. If you play an action, it goes to the discard pile. If you play a creature, it goes down onto the board. This isn't where, oh, I'm using it. No. You don't have it next turn. Not only do I get to use one of your cards, you don't get to use it. Now, I can't really go into the same level of examples as I just did for Ghost Form, because the fact of the matter is, this could be literally any card. But it could be any creature, it could be any action, it could be any upgrade. You get to pick the best card in your opponent's hand and play it, and then they don't. Tell me that's not one of the most redonkulous, phenomenal effects you've ever heard in Keyforge. Because if you're telling me that, I might have to call you a liar, if I'm honest, because that doesn't sound believable. It's so ridiculously good, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, I'm kind of in love with this card. And of course, it's a fish monster. We've all been expecting a race of mer people. It's been one of the most predicted houses. And remember that anomalies are essentially creatures from future sets, which are coming into our sets as anomalies. Now, yes, this is clearly a Grand Star Alliance creature, but does this tell us we're getting a race of mer people in the future? I mean, we kind of already knew from Terms of Redress, if I'm honest with you, but yes. Yes, it does, ladies and gentlemen. We've now got 2 cards with a race of kind of fish people on. I think that is pretty much a given moving forward. Also, potentially obscure reference, but did anyone else look at Ghost Form and think, the Rama series? Just putting that out there. One more anomaly we need to talk about in today's video, ladies and gentlemen, and it is Infomancer. Now, this does come from the Discord group, but it was posted by the lovely Ludovic Orban. Infomancer. It is a free power, 0 armor creature, but it does have elusive, so at least you've got to fight it twice to take it out. And it has another new keyword, graft. When you play it, you graft an action card from your hand onto Infomancer, which is to say you place it face up under the card. When you reap, you trigger the play effect of an action card that is grafted onto Infomancer. Ooh, well, that sounds pretty nice. Here's the thing, though. It doesn't say that you discard the card. Oh, well, that's quite nice. You can do this over and over again. So let's say, for argument's sake, you get yourself a Nerve Blast. Well, that one sounds like fun, doesn't it? Steal an amber and deal 2 damage to a creature. And you do that every time you reap. Now, it is just a play action. One hilarious combo with this would be Virtuous Works, except Virtuous Works actually does nothing. You get free amber when you play it, but unfortunately, it's not a play effect, so you don't actually get to use it. Otherwise, this with Virtuous Works would be broken. But it isn't, so it's not. Boo, hiss, etc. But it allows you to take your best action card and use it turn after turn. I mean, you could potentially whack a key charge under here and then reap to forge a key. Although do be careful with key charge. Because key charge says lose an amber. So if you're not ready to forge a key, all key charge actually does is lose you an amber, and that would be a very bad reaping skill. But if you've got a giant pile of amber, whack a key charge down, and off you go. Now, of course, there is a fairly gigantic downside to Infomancer. Because you see, you graft the card when you play it, but it doesn't actually do anything until you reap. And the problem is, yes, you're elusive, but you're still a free power 0 armor creature. There are a million cards out there, like Life for a Life or like a billion others, that can take this out. If your opponent has 2 creatures of the same house, and one of them is free power or more, you will be able to take this out. And the problem is that if you play Infomancer and you graft a card to it, nothing happens until you reap next turn. But then your opponent can just destroy Infomancer, and then you've just wasted a card. This one can be a gamble. The other 2, I'm basically saying unreservedly are phenomenal, redonkulous cards. If I gave Wossy scores for Keyforge cards, they'd be 5 Wossys, no doubt. Infomancer is the weakest one of the 3 we're looking at today. And the reason, very simply, is there is a gamble. If you graft a card onto Infomancer, and then it gets destroyed, you've literally just wasted, presumably, a very good card and gotten literally no benefit whatsoever. That is something we need to be wary of. But if you can graft a card to it and then keep it in play and use it over and over again, we are looking at a rather broken card indeed. The problem is this one gives your opponent a turn to go, whoop, no you don't, and that will be sad. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Huge thank you to Devin Sparrow. Thank you to Ludovic Orban. Thank you to everyone that's sharing these cards. I know there is a big argument to be made about whether Target should have put them up early. And the answer is almost certainly no. All I can tell you is the images are out there. I have gotten so many messages from people in the past day going, Wossy, when are we going to talk about these cards? That I am going to do videos on the cards. I hope you're all along with me and I hope you all enjoy them. For now, ladies and gentlemen, tell me what you think about these. Go nuts in the comment section, but be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and follow me on Twitter at the Wossy, where we talk about Keyforge and any other games that take my fancy. And do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can get a weekly bonus podcast and support the channel, and we have a lot of fun. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.